Jessica and Bryan at the Stitchhouse.
World famous.
We are here to do, we're not world famous. We are here to do our year in review.
We'll see.
Year in review of everything awesome that's happened this year at Stitchhouse. So,
are we only going to cover the awesome stuff, or are we going to talk about everything?
We are not talking about anything negative in 2020. We're only talking about positive.
We'll see.
And I think it's important to end the year on a good note. Right, guys?
So what are we doing today? So today is a little bit different. It's going to be kicking off a new series that Jess and I will be hosting every other week, and it's just going to be kind of banter. What's going on with the store? What's going on in our lives? What's going on...
Our lives?
With whatever. It's just going to be open dialogue. If y'all
Our
have
lives
questions,
are Stitchhouse. Like,
well,
we don't have a life outside of the store, so.
Not fair. What's the first topic we're going into today? I think it's going to be, we're going to talk about 2020, all of the things that we accomplished this year being such a different year. We're going to be doing a look back, and then we're going to be going into a look ahead of what y'all can expect in 2021.
And I think that's important because it's nice to look ahead. We're going to leave 2020 in the past. We're going to look forward to all the cool stuff in 2021. However, we've had a pretty great year. Despite all of the challenges of 2020, we've had some awesome moments. We want to talk about that a little bit so that we can share and kind of remember the good times.
One of my most memorable moments for 2020 for me was the advent of the Nitro Cold Brew from Starbucks. Hashtag no free ads, but
Brittany's looking at the list like, cross that one off,
yeah,
Grace.
do me a favor, cross Starbucks off the list, because that truly was one of my favorite things of 2020.
It's not on there. Well, I'll kick it off. I'll tell you kind of how I remember 2020 really getting going. Brittany had just started working with us, and we were getting ready for the Dallas Quilt Show, and we had the Stitchhouse, that big steel structure built, and I told Brittany, hey, I really want to like make it look like a real house. Let's get a bunch of furniture. Let's get a bunch of like fake appliances. Let's get all this cool stuff, right? So it looks like a house. And Brittany and I drove around in the van like for days, just going to Target, going to World Market, going to Home Goods, all these places. We got all this cool stuff, and we set up the whole Dallas Quilt Show event.
Can I just stop right there real quick? I want you guys to truly take note of how Jessica recalls starting the year. One, it didn't start till the end of March.
Yeah.
So she took 3 months off. And two, it was spent driving around for 3 days shopping. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's finish.
I want to keep going. Okay. So then, I'm just kidding. No. So then, we're getting ready for the Dallas Quilt Show. We're fully set up. This is March, mid-March. Like, I think it was March 15th.
Well, when does your year start?
March 15th.
Okay.
So I think it was March 15th, and Bryan looked at me after we got the whole show set up, and he said, it was later that night, I think we were having dinner or something, he looked at me, he goes, Jessica, I want to prepare you for the worst. And I said, okay. And he goes, we're probably not going to actually do the Dallas Quilt Show. And in my head, I'm like, we've been setting up for days, months of planning, almost over a year of planning, almost.
The largest sponsor I think they'd ever had, 22 booths.
We had 22 booths, and he said, you have to be prepared for this, because if you're not prepared, then you're going to wake up and it's going to be even worse. So we need to come up with a game plan now.
This was partially to protect myself from her freaking out.
It's so true. So it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I woke me up.
The night before the quilt show,
It's like
2 in the morning.
Friday morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. Quilt show's supposed to start at 8 a.m. or whatever. We're supposed to be there at 8. And he wakes me up and he's like, hey, I just got an email and the show's canceled. And
this is not how I normally wake her up at 2 in the morning to discuss quilting.
So anyway, I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad that you mentally prepared me for the worst, because that's what happened. And we got together with Brittany. We created an entire email marketing campaign. We had some really great deals for the quilt show then, and we're still able to get people really good deals and just kind of move forward from that. And that really kicked off like the beginning of COVID and how things were going to change in the store and retail.
And I think for us it was a really interesting way that laid out how 2020 was going to go, because nothing went as planned. If you guys recall, we were looking at a 2-week shutdown. So one of the first things I remember from this whole kind of like change in direction that we took is we had 3 semi-trucks, the big 18-wheel semi-trucks, loaded up. So we unloaded it, and we're on the last truck, and there is no one else at the Dallas quilt show except for security guards asking, hey, when are you guys gonna get everything out of here? And I said, well, it took us 3 days to set up and gave us 2 hours to break it down, so maybe another 30 minutes. But all of a sudden this one comes back, and she's got our black gangster van with no windows, the kind that should not have a sign that says candy for sale. And she has it loaded up with gasoline because she's convinced that not only are we going to go in quarantine for 2 weeks, but that we're also going to experience a gas shortage. So she has bought 12 of these big gas
Jesse and I did that together.
And they took and drove off and went and collected gas, which, by the way, coincidentally is still sitting in our garage. So I don't know if it goes bad.
I was terrified. I thought the world was going to end, and I thought, if it's going to end, we're going to have gas and we're going to make it somewhere.
Yeah, she bought us enough gas that we could load up the dogs and find the biggest gas hog we own, which is the Jeep, and we were going to drive to Mexico. But the analogy for the way it started, I think, is kind of apropos to the way that the year felt, which was everything that we planned for and expected was changing. We had planned for the quilt show, and we had to switch and pivot and do something here.
We had planned for Anita Good Design that month.
We had planned for 2 weeks in quarantine, and it ended up being months. We had planned on, shutting things down maybe for 30 days, and here we are, 9 months later, and we're still wearing masks, and there's not particularly an end in sight. So I think that it was it kind of encapsulated what all 2020 was to me, which is all of the best laid plans aren't necessarily going to work out, and you're going to have to pivot, and you're going to have to change. And so for me, 2020 was a year of change, and we did that, and it forced us, I think, to look ahead and do a lot of stuff that we'd been putting off, like
totally different too,
like what you're seeing today. Our film studio being built out, we've been talking about it for 2 years.
I will say,
but now we're doing it.
I will say, and Brittany's behind the camera, but a lot of everything that we've done in 2020 would not have been done without Brittany. And I know she's sitting back here.
Brittany, give us a wave.
She doesn't like to be.
Can you do it with the side of your hands that are, with the nice nails?
She has nails, two different manicures. A lot of
she is just looking.
Okay.
She's seating behind the camera.
I will tell you one of the funniest things. So our film studio, it's a large space, but we share it with our techs. Our techs are on the other side. And we've got this wall and some storage and stuff here behind us. The funniest thing that I think I said in 2020 was I came over to the techs. Well, first of all, we made a group decision, Bryan and I did together, that no matter what happened, we were going to ride out this quarantine and the whole situation as a team. So at the time we had all of our full-time staff, and we told them, we're not going to be open as many hours, but we're still going to pay you full-time. We're not sure what's going to happen, but as a team, we're either going to sink or swim. So one of the funniest ideas that I had,
which freaked Brittany out, who's behind the camera, because she goes, I don't know how to swim.
Brittany had just started working for us.
You guys better figure it out.
No, one of the funniest ideas that I had, truly, was I came over to the techs and I told them, this whole situation, and I said, I have a great idea. What if we run a service promotion? Like, you're going to be at home and you're going to be bored, so why don't you get your sewing machine fixed? Mm-hmm. We didn't need to run that promotion because everybody in the world had the same idea. Let's get my sewing machine fixed and let's start something fun. So I think my favorite thing about 2020 so far has been, as someone who grew up in the sewing industry my whole life, I've always been asked, growing up as a kid, what do your parents do? And I've said, my mom sells sewing machines. My grandparents, they sell sewing machines. And people always looked at me and thought, sewing machines?
Right, you should be a model, right? Or on TV or something.
Thanks. I don't know what he wants, but he wants something. So, no, really, people said that to me. They thought, who sews? now I think what the coolest thing is in 2020 is, you know, Bryan and I will be somewhere and someone will ask us, hey, what do you guys do? And we'll tell them we sell sewing machines, and we'll get this reaction like, that's cool. And honestly, we've never had that. I've never had that in my life. So I think the coolest thing that's happened in 2020 to me,
sewing's cool again.
Sewing is very cool, and luckily we are in the most awesome spot of Dallas. You know, we're in a really great market where people really enjoy embroidery and quilting and all things sewing, and it's been really awesome. It's one of my favorite things about 2020 is the revitalization of like the domestication industry. Cooking, sewing, organizing.
All of our
like the home edit show has been so popular. So everything home based has really taken off, and luckily I love how much people are really enjoying.
So what else did we do in 2020? How about we talk about, I think 2020 was cool because one of the plans that Jessica had in 2019 that we were actually able to accomplish in 2020 was our pledge to give back to the community. So 2020, towards the end of 2019, you may recall that we were in the process of getting ready for a charity auction, and that was to kick off 2020 with our year of giving back. So giving back to the community, giving back to the different places all over Dallas that have supported us and that hold a special place in our heart. And so we started 2020 off with an auction. So the auction raised quite a bit of money for the Children's Hospital. Then, as soon as COVID hit and masks started becoming popular, we thought, what a really cool idea. Since we're shut down, since the store was shut down, we did a mask drive and gave over 10,000 enough fabric and or masks for over, I believe, 10,000 units. So 10,000 individual masks were able to be donated to local hospitals and first responders in the area. So the idea of being able to give back in 2020 really kicked off at the very beginning, and then I think we've been able to give back throughout the entire year, but those two events stand out for me. What about for you?
We set up a like a line of cars that came. We were on the news earlier that morning, and then we spent the whole day. We had these bundles of 2 yards of fabric, pipe cleaners, and the instructions that we had written up. We came up with that really quickly, and we gave out mask kits all day long so that people could make masks, and it was enough to make over 10,000 masks.
Yeah,
so.
And we did that for over a week.
And then we donated all the masks. We had a lot of people calling us that worked at like assisted living facilities, rehab facilities, like care facilities that weren't able to get the PPE like hospitals and stuff were, but still needed it. And so we had them calling, and we would just send out, you know, people would make the masks. A lot of people would keep them, but a lot of people brought them back as well. And then we would donate them to all the facilities that were calling us, asking us if we had masks. So that was really cool. And it was really revitalizing to our spirits at the time, because we were so uncertain about what was going to happen next and how we were going to proceed, especially as a new business. We'd only been open for like 2 years at that point. So we were really starting to come into our own skin and hit our stride with what we were doing in the business. So we were just really uncertain about what the future held. So that was really important for us to feel like we had something that gave us a little bit of life. And it really did. It really put us in a great position to feel like we gelled together, we molded together, and it was a really good moment. I know what my favorite thing of 2020 is.
So this is why we have a list.
No, I really know. We left this part off. My favorite thing of 2020 is that we're not open on Mondays anymore. Okay.
One of the other things we did this year is we drove all the way back to Michigan. My dad was down here helping us get our warehouse put together and get everything organized in the store. And of course, right around that time, all of the airlines shut down. So we drove my father.
Well, no, they were still open, but we were like, we're not putting him on a plane.
Quickly corrected. Anyways, so we rented a car. We drove all the way back to Michigan.
Packed a cooler.
We
didn't know dogs.
We didn't know what to expect. I wasn't going to give them a whole rundown of everything that was in the vehicle. Anything else?
homemade hand sanitizer
that we made in Michigan. That's right. So you can imagine us scouring through, 2 days after Jessica's purchased 40 gallons or 40 things of gasoline. Now we're in Myers looking how to make up homemade sanitizer. But went all the way up there, came all the way back. It was a 4-day process. But in that 4-day process, we jump-started another sector of the business that we had been itching to get going, and that was our online website. We were able to get the website up. We were able to get classes going. We were able to start selling things online.
Yep.
And one of the first things that we had online was the Flying Geese quilt along.
Not the Flying Geese.
What did we do?
It was the Good Neighbor quilt.
Oh, the Good Neighbor quilt along. That's right. So that so we were able to get that up and going, and of course that we've carried that tradition now going into 2021 when we get to our look ahead, which has been the quilt along. That's been a lot of fun. I think everybody's enjoyed it that's participated. If you haven't, you need to. But I think that was the idea where we started to jumpstart things that have been sitting on the back burner. So getting onto social media between Brittany and Jessica feverishly typing in the backseat, going, "What a world we live in! Just launched a website from the back of a Tahoe, moving 100 miles an hour, going through back streets of Kansas." So like,
I used all my data plan that week.
But that was the jumpstart, right?
Yep.
Of moving on to a more social, media-driven platform.
Yep.
So, speaking of social media, let's talk about some of the new things that we've done on there. Online, social media.
Okay, one of my favorite things is what we're doing right now. We have a YouTube channel now. And honestly, one of the reasons that when we met Brittany, we just knew she was the right fit was because she previously had a YouTube channel and she knew how to do all this stuff, and we were like clueless. So one of our favorite things that we've had this year is seriously our YouTube channel. It's been so much fun to interact with you guys and to be able to share and disperse information via video. It's a lot easier, trust me, to get up here and talk than it is to type it up and try to communicate that way.
Typing.
So I love our YouTube channel, and I love how much our Facebook has grown, our Facebook Lives that we do as well, and our Instagram. We've had a lot of fun with all of that stuff over the past year. So that's been a really good push. It's something that we've always said we wanted to do, but we've let other things get in the way. But it was a great way to push us into something different in 2020 with everything that was going on.
True. So let's talk about some of the new faces that they've seen here around 2020. What are some of the new faces?
So we have Sarah, who works here now. She was previously at a different store and a different industry for a little while, but she is our front of store manager. She's amazing. I know a lot of you guys know her in the industry, so locally, so you guys should come in and see her here at the Stitchhouse. It's awesome to have her around because she's organized and she's just a ball of energy. I love her.
Yep. There's someone else new. Janice is new this year.
Oh, it's Janice. Oh my gosh, we hired Janice. Poor Janice. We hired her right before the pandemic, like literally right before.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
And she is so awesome. She is quiet, which is perfect because we're kind of loud, so it's nice to have a little bit of balance in the store. And she knows a lot about sewing. She makes a lot of her own clothes, and she's probably the most fashionable. I'll give Janice most fashionable award for Stitchhouse.
She's the most fashionable. Oh wow, Brittany is not.
Brittany is not happy about that behind. Brittany's also very fashionable.
You're fashionable too, Brittany. And let's clarify, she is the most fashionable, one of the most fashionable females.
Oh, he wants the most fashionable male award?
Between me and Terry. Terry only has 2 shirts and a pair of pants.
Poor Terry.
So it's pretty easy.
Terry calls it his uniform.
What about, we also hired our youngest employee this year.
Oh yeah, we have Grace. She's part of our social media team. She does Instagram and stuff like that. She's beaming behind us.
How old is Grace?
Grace is 15.
15.
We also got not just our youngest Bernina ambassador, but the youngest Bernina ambassador in the United States ever, basically. Her name is Paris, and she has started her own business where she knits scarves, and she also makes masks for the homeless. And is she 10? I think Paris is 10.
She's very young. She's
But
younger than Grace.
she has a big personality, so it's hard to know how young she is. But she has chosen Stitchhouse as her dealership to be where she's finds her home, and we're really excited about that because how cool is it to have a Bernina ambassador that chooses us? But not only that, the youngest Bernina ambassador.
Yep. So we're going to be doing a lot of cool projects with her. You'll see her, I think, in 2021 quite a bit.
We hope so.
Have we hired any other new people? In
Adam?
Oh, that's more of a look ahead.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that in our look ahead video.
Okay. Anybody else?
No.
Let's talk about some
The
of the
aesthetic of the store.
So I was going to say construction, but she makes it sound so much nicer than
aesthetic.
that. It's so bougie. So
Also,
bougie.
thank you to my girlfriend Amanda for sending these flowers for this video.
So let's talk about the aesthetic of the store, because if you know us and you know the store and you've been here more than once,
It's
you
all
know
about the vibe.
it's about a vibe, and things move every day.
Every day.
Honest to God, for the first year and a half, we had a plywood countertop. So
Actually, we're sitting at, this was the first front desk at my old store.
I know that.
It's interesting. Bryan built it for me out of IKEA cabinets.
So some of the projects that we have completed that create kind of that customer experience and the aesthetic in the store. Most recently, we've ripped out 3 offices and built our creative studio where we go up there with the creative team, Brittany and myself and
Grace and Kelsey.
and we kind of come up with ideas. That's where we brainstorm and figure it all out. So that's cool. We also have my man cave has been created.
It's not done yet.
It's not done yet, but we've got some really cool furniture put in. We've got the kegs and the taps and the nitro and the beer and the
There's
wine,
none
all
of
and the
that
whiskey
in there.
is going in. Well, it's not in, but it's going in. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Keep going.
I promise you it's going in. So then we've also went ahead, we finally finished the front counter. Over 400 individually hand cut and placed half round wood strips that she had to have. If you come into the store, please compliment.
Had to have it.
Please compliment on how good the front counter looks, because I got to tell you, when she presented this project to me, I about fell over because it looked absolutely daunting, and it was. And it was so tough that I actually had her finish the last half of it.
Which was hard.
And nothing brought me more joy than to listen to her gripe for like 6 hours about how much hard work this was to finish this much section of the table.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was every,
Yeah, it is
it's half
all a lot
round
of work.
poplar. It was all individually stapled on, nailed on, and then caulked in between,
Mm-hmm.
and then sanded, and then painted, and then sanded and painted 3 or 4 times. It was a lot of work. So
Yeah.
every time I see a scuff on it, I lose my mind.
So that, yep. So that got finished. I think probably the coolest thing though that got finished this year, I think to me the coolest thing were the murals. That admittedly, when I saw the price to have a local artist named Allie Kay come out and do it, I was concerned because it was not inexpensive. However, Jess had a vision and Allie really made that come to life. And I think that's the coolest thing that we've done aesthetic-wise in the store, is to get the
Absolutely.
2 murals. We got a nice Instagram wall when you walk in, and then behind the counter where it says Stitchhouse, all of the custom artwork was created by her in collaboration with Jessica's vision, which I imagine went something like this. I like black, and I like white, and I like clean lines, and I want it to be cool.
That's me.
Figure it out.
I know. I found Allie on Instagram a while ago, and I'd been following her local murals that she'd done, and then I found out she was going to have a fabric line with Moda, and I was really excited about that. This was way before she had done her murals, and when she did the mural, she still didn't have the fabric line out, and I said I want it to be very authentic to who you are, so that when your fabric comes out, you guys, you'll see the correlation between it. I think she's going to do a lot more in the sewing industry, so we'll see what she has planned next. But I'm really excited to have local artwork featured. One day when we're in our permanent home, this is not our permanent home. We will have a permanent home one day, but one day when we're in our permanent home and we can't take those murals with us, we'll have to have Allie come back and paint more.
We might try to figure a way to take them with us.
We'll cut the drywall out or something.
Something. I don't know how we'll do it, but we will figure it out, I promise. another very cool thing, I think I'll let you talk about this because you love the 10 needle, is all of the entrepreneurs that we've helped this year in getting their business started. And I think for 10 needles, we're over 24 brand new entrepreneurs have kicked off their business with Jessica's help this year. And why don't you kind of touch on that?
So I've always had a passion for the multi-needle embroidery machine from Brother, and that's because I really see a way where people can create something really cool and unique to them, but also make money doing it. And so I think 2020 has been a really good year for a lot of people to jumpstart a stay-at-home business. It's really great for people that are creative but looking to do something where they're their own boss really, and they have their own creativity on their Instagram page and their website and their Etsy shop and stuff like that. And the best machine for that in the store is really the 10 needle. So something that I like to do is help people kind of hone in on who they are and what their brand should be. I really love helping people learn to make money. I think that's a lot of fun, and we've had a few
She's
people.
very good at teaching you how to spend it.
I like to teach people how to spend. I like to help people spend money too. But I really like teaching people how to learn how to make money. And I think that the 10 needle is the machine for that. So we've had over 24 people this year that have started their own business at home with a multi-needle. Or some people with just a single needle and have grown into the multi-needle.
Some people with a long arm. I mean, there's been a few different machines they've used, but the 10 needle seems to be the one that people gravitate to the most, and the long arms too. But
we're in the heart of monogramming here in Dallas, so you really can't get away from the idea that embroidery is popular around here.
Right.
So embroidery is popular everywhere, but it's really popular here.
Sure.
So
what else have I got on the list?
The Bernina virtual event.
Oh, the Bernina virtual event.
The thing that gave me hives for a month.
And you know what it was? It wasn't so much planning the event because she had very little to do in planning it. It was the fact that she had very little to do in planning it that gave her the hives. I think when that event finally went live, she walked in having a panic attack saying, "Bryan, I don't know what we're supposed to be doing.
I don't know what we're talking about.
You haven't filled me in." And
we had like 15 production people there.
We've got 15 production people. The store is full of lights and cables and rigs and semi-trucks with all this stuff.
They set up for like 8 hours.
And she goes, and we're getting ready to go live here.
We've got a green screen, 10-foot green screen behind us.
We're going live in about 20 minutes, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. And I looked at her and I said the same thing we always do. We're just going to talk.
That was very stressful. I literally got hives for I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I got hives, and I did not have COVID. I got COVID tested twice. I was like, for sure something is wrong with me. No, I had you know what? That's when I thought I had the measles. I even got a measles test. Literally, there was nothing wrong with me. I had blood work ran by No.
If I ever find the person that invented WebMD, I'm going to kick you in the shins.
It was not WebMD.
I'm sure.
It was a teledoctor that told me that I had measles.
Whatever.
In review, 2020 was, and I've said this before, like running downhill with a boulder chasing us. And I want you guys to know that we've gotten pretty fast here at Stitchhouse.
Oh my.
It's been a year.
Look at her little legs kick.
It's been a year. It's been a year. And I know that we're not the only people that have felt this way. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you to our awesome customers, people that we've never met before, maybe on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook, because honestly, everything that we've done this year has been with you guys in mind, first and foremost, and it would not have been done without you. So genuinely, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. We appreciate your support and your loyalty, and we hope that you stick with us through 2021 because we have some great things coming up, right, Bryan?
Cool. So what's in 2021?
Well, I think that's a whole other video that they'll have to stay tuned to see, right?
2021.